In order to put your body in that physiologic relaxation response, take 5 deep breaths before each meal. It's free, your breath is always with you, it helps you relax, it's oxygen, and it burns calories and enhances metabolism. And also prior to a craving, prior to that afternoon sugar craving, I gotta eat that, just take the 5 deep breaths first, and then you can make a decision much more clearly. It's like after you do yoga, right? You do Shavasana. After Shavasana, you feel like so balanced, so centered, come at me, I can handle anything now. Our relationship with how we do food mirrors our relationship with life, right? Because our relationship with food is the oldest relationship we have, and it's similar to those with others. So it's angry, it's happy, it's frustrating, it's nourishing, it's sad, it's pleasure. And when you can actually taste and smell and feel and be present with what's in your mouth, all of a sudden, like other relationships and other areas in life, you're much more mindful.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Mike Mutzel here with highintensityhealth.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, we're live with my friend Karen Malkin. She's an integrative nutritionist and health coach in the Chicago area. Just a wonderful woman. We've had her on the show in the past. I think it was episode number 9 or 11. It was one of the earlier episodes. So thanks for being an early adopter there, Karen. But today, we're going to talk about mind-body nutrition and how to create a healthy relationship with food. So Karen, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see you again.
Absolutely. So I know you've been traveling quite a bit and hanging out with people like Andrew Weil and some competitive athletes. So kind of share with us a little bit about what you've been up to as of late.
So I've been the nutrition conference for the Arizona Center for Integrative Medicine, the Nutrition and Health Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been doing some corporate wellness talks and doing a lot of group cleanses. My 14-day transformation cleanse has really helped a lot of people create a healthy relationship with food and create new habits that stick without worrying about calorie counting, dieting, portion control, just really using that mind-body connection and getting present around what you eat and how certain foods make you feel.
Mm-hmm. Love it, Karen. And I like how you have this mindset shift. I'll start over. I'll do that. That's fantastic, Karen. So let's talk about the mindset that people should kind of adopt. I know that's something that I've learned a lot from you about, and not to beat yourself up over something that maybe if you miss a meal or you go out and have a couple drinks or you don't exercise, you really have a great way of kind of reframing things so people can make progress and not strive for perfection. So before we kind of talk about the nutrients, let's just clear the slate and make sure we're all in the same mental kind of vantage point here.
Absolutely. I like to invite my clients to a different way of looking at food and body. And so what you eat is important, right? That whole macronutrient balance, the macro and micronutrients. And then there's your rhythm of when you're eating, your body's natural biocircadian rhythm, which could really help with cravings. But then how you eat and who you are as an eater is equally important, or maybe even more important with many of my clients, to create a healthy relationship with food. Because we all know we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, right? So how are we getting in our own way? And that's where letting go of some of the guilt and stress and anxiety and fear around food really helps. And the first step is to be aware and is to embrace where you're at right now, because in order to get where you want to go, you got to know where you are right now. And sometimes some of that extra weight or some of those food challenges are actually here for a good reason. And this is an opportunity for us to use food as our own personal growth and transformation. Use it as a doorway to grow. So that's kind of cool.
Love it. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I like how you started that off and just, it's not just about what you eat, it's how you eat. And I think that's really important and often neglected in a lot of diet books. I mean, I don't read a lot of diet books, but the new ones that come out, I'll kind of check them out and see what people are saying. And it's a lot of macronutrients, it's a lot of protein, it's a lot of, all this stuff, get off grains and GMOs and all that, which is really nice. But how we eat is so important. And if you even want to get into the biochemistry, which, we've talked about on the show before, but, people that chew their food have much better digestion, much better response in their incretin, the gut hormones and so on. It's really important. And studies actually show that people that chew their food actually weigh less than people that just gobble their food down. So it's really important. But I like how you said that the first step is to be aware. And since I've started doing more meditation and being more mindful, I've really noticed sometimes when I'm stressed or traveling, I just gobble down food and I don't beat myself up over it, but it's nice to just sit there and go, okay, why am I doing this? Am I lonely? Am I stressed? Stuff like that. So kind of talk to us once people make that awareness connection between, the food choices that they're making or how they're eating their food, what's the next step to kind of changing that behavior?
Well, what happens is they're actually exercising their choosing muscle, right? So when you rush through your food, you notice, okay, Mike, what's going on? And that's the first step. And as soon as you notice that this is what you're doing, then you can actually choose something different next time. But if you don't know, you can't really choose. And that's where you don't want to beat yourself up. You just want to notice, okay, Karen, there you go again. You just like blew through that meal. You're eating at the counter, just had another lunch in the car, rushing to another appointment. It's okay. Just don't beat yourself up. Notice and notice how you feel. So make that mind body connection around what you eat and how you feel, because it really does. And I know you mentioned this in your belly fat effect book that, that gut brain, has to register with the brain in your head that I've eaten, I've tasted, I've experienced, I found pleasure. Food is pure pleasure. Food is the solution. It's not the problem. When we're stressed, we're all emotional eaters, right? We're emotional beings living in this material world. And so it's no wonder we're going to bring our feelings and our emotions to this table. And so, yes, we're going to eat when we're stressed. Yes, that's true. So let's just embrace it. Let's own it. And so with mindless eating, it's exactly what it is. Like we're kind of asleep, right? And we want to be awake at the plate, and we want to be present around what we're eating without guilt and stress. It doesn't matter. If you can eat that ice cream cone with pleasure, you're actually breathing more, burning more calories, using oxygen, and it's not really about that ice cream cone. If you can eat your food in pleasure, it's going to enhance digestion and absorption and assimilation, because when you're eating fast, it's put your body in a stress response. And that's going to elevate cortisol, right? Fight or flight hormone, which is insulin, which is going to elevate insulin, our fat storage hormone, and signals your body to store fat and not build muscle. So eating how you eat in the physiologic relaxation response is going to burn calories, boost metabolism, enhance digestion and absorption and assimilation of all your nutrients. And it's everything that you say in your book,
Mm-hmm.
how you eat. Yeah. And it's loving yourself. And, some people can't say, I love myself just the way I am. There's 9 out of 10 women hate their bodies. And, 2/3 of Americans are overweight or obese. And so it's a problem. And yet we all know what to do. Like we all know we should be eating more fruits and vegetables and less junk food. It's how do we get our own way? How do we show ourselves a little bit more love? And if you can't tell yourself, I love my body just the way it is right now, then at least feed your body some healthy foods. And that is really a way of saying, I'm okay. I'm okay just the way I am, and I deserve it. And I'm worth it. Vitamin Q, quality. Upgrade the quality of your food.
Love it. Vitamin Q. I haven't not heard that before. That I'm going to have to borrow that sometime, Karen. That's great. Well, let's kind of zoom out. That's fantastic information, but I would like to zoom out. I'm reading this book called Switch by Dan and Chip Heath. They wrote Made to Stick and a couple other great books, Decisive, I think. But they talk about willpower and how sometimes we're being pulled by all these different directions and how willpower is a finite resource. And so, we can kind of look at our lifestyle and then look at the food choices we make and then how we eat our food, meaning being in a present state or being mindless and so forth. And so I think it would be a good exercise just to kind of look at, how is your willpower? Are you being pulled by all these different people and, from parenting, from school obligations, work obligations, how could you streamline, some of the obligations and kind of say no to certain things in your life so that you're not feeling like your willpower is being tugged at. And then when it comes to food, maybe you're making poor choices because you only have so much willpower in a given point of the day. So anyway, they talk about kind of in that book, which I would recommend everyone listen or read or listen to it on audible.com is, again, It's called Switch, but a great book, kind of brings in the emotional side, what they refer to as the elephant, and then the rider, which would be more the logical, analytical side. So our emotions can kind of play tricks with us if we're not, exercising certain aspects of that. So excellent information there, Karen. You talked about circadian rhythms. You said biocircadian rhythms. And I think this is really important. There's a lot of confusion on the internet right now about, should you do intermittent fasting? Should you skip breakfast? Should you skip dinner? Talk about what you talk to your patients and clients about when it comes to biological rhythms.
That's a really good question. And, what first and foremost is every body is unique. So I invite people to do an experimental way of eating, try it on, see how it fits, and see what works best for you, right? But as far as our metabolism goes, our metabolism picks up in the morning. By midday, between the hours of 10 and 2 p.m., our digestion is most strong. We're massively calorie burning. And that's when most people say, oh, I was so good on my diet, right? I'm good or bad, judgment again. I was so good on my diet. I just had coffee, and some sweet and low for breakfast. And then for lunch, I had a salad and fat-free dressing in front of the computer, not even registering that I'm eating. But gosh, I can't stop eating from 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And so if you're going to get those 2,000 calories in a 24-hour period, and then at the end of the day, you don't have much of a metabolism, right? Metabolism slows down. And so those people are eating most of their calories between the hours of 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. Best way to gain weight. It's like the sumo wrestler diet. So what I encourage people to do is take that 2,000 calories and shift it earlier in the day. No one gains weight from breakfast. Fuel your tank when you need it. And brain says, thank you. You fed me 3 nourishing meals today, maybe 1 or 2 snacks, but brain says, thank you. You fed me. And then it becomes, and I have to argue with you a little bit or question, or, is it willpower? Because these people that we work with have lots of willpower. These are athletes. These are people that run businesses and families and travel. And they have a lot of willpower to get up and discipline and to do their jobs. But why don't they have the willpower with their food? And that's what I find really interesting and curious. And I encourage my clients to be curious about their behaviors without the guilt and say, oh, you can't do this. You don't have any willpower. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if it's a willpower problem. I think it's planning. I think it's getting stuck with not having the right foods handy. And I think it's not making yourself a priority. And I think you got to listen to your cravings. And at the end of the day, and when you've worked really hard, many people say, you know what, I deserve it because I worked so hard. So I want this cheesecake. And so it's the emotional piece. So I just, I think everybody's different. With the intermittent fasting, I do believe, and we've discussed this, that, a good 12-hour fast, not eating right before bed, so your body can do all its good natural detoxification while you're sleeping, is healthier for your body. So when you don't eat within 2 to 3 hours of going to bed, you wake up in the morning feeling like $1,000,000. So, I often encourage my clients for weight loss purposes and inflammation, eat earlier, and then, give yourself a good 12-hour fast.
Let's kind of expand on some of those aspects and the willpower thing. I love how you said that, but I think hormone imbalances can override, willpower issues. And so, let's just kind of zoom out a little bit and kind of illustrate some things that you talked about there. People, it's really easy if you don't eat a lot of food in the morning you feel kind of good temporarily. It's like a fake, flux of hormones because cortisol's cranking and you're like, oh my, I'm energetic. I don't need to eat. I'm good. And then, like you said, you kind of crash and then you start to really crave.
Yeah.
And the biggest question that I get from, clients that I work with is, Mike, I have cravings in the afternoon and evening and it just doesn't go away. Like I can't satiate it no matter what. And it's like, you kind of do a little analysis on what their lifestyle is and what they're eating. And it's just like you said, Karen, they're doing coffee and nothing in the morning. So that creates these hormonal fluxes, which then create, the craving issues, which can, overcome willpower and so forth and supersede that. So, all right. So that's kind of the bad. Let's talk about the good. So what in an ideal world how would people be eating along with their rhythm? So a nice hearty breakfast or a shake and then a full lunch, like what have you found to be pretty effective for most people?
Well, depending upon the complaint. So often it's sugar cravings, like you said, that 3-4 o'clock slump, and eating a nutrient dense, lunch, protein and fat, protein and fat for breakfast, protein and fat for lunch. I love my, MCT lean smoothie, protein shake, eggs and greens, some chicken sausages and some vegetables for breakfast. And then again for lunch, protein and fat, phytonutrients, colors. And then if you want a little carbs later in the day, have your carbs because they're going to help you relax, right? So the protein is actually going to help you think more clearly and cognitively. So when you're in the afternoon, when you're at work, you feel different. So just, I recommend that they eat lunch and make lunch their main meal, mostly protein and veggies.
Awesome. So before they eat, let's talk like the 5 minutes before someone eats lunch, breakfast, dinner,
Mm.
whatever it may be. Is there a ritual or routine that you like to coach people on? Like sit down, take some breaths, eat at the table.
Absolutely.
Like share with us little tips there.
Yeah. So when I lead my 14-day transformation, some of the instructions I do give my clients is in order to put your body in that physiologic relaxation response, take 5 deep breaths before each meal. It's free. Your breath is always with you. It helps you relax. It's oxygen and it burns calories and enhances metabolism. And also prior to a craving, prior to that afternoon sugar craving, I got to eat that. Just take the 5 deep breaths first, and then you can make a decision much more clearly. It's like after you do yoga, right? You do shavasana. After shavasana, you feel like so balanced, so centered. Come at me. I can handle anything now. And that's how you need to feel in a craving, because otherwise we're mindless and it's just going down. But if we can really be present around the craving, we can choose that food from a mindful place versus, it was the other Karen that just ate that box of cookies and I don't really even remember, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think these are kind of reinforcing concepts here is just increasing or exercising your mindfulness muscle throughout life. And I've noticed for myself, as I do more heart math and meditation,
Mhm.
cravings for foods go away, and it's easier to say no
Yes.
to different things. And then it's easier to get in to that mindful state and just chew your food better. So I think it's both. We need to be aware of the food choices that we're making, but also be aware that we need to increase the mindfulness in our life. And both of those aspects will work together to help us have a healthier metabolism.
Mhm. Absolutely. Have to stay awake at the plate.
Right. Fantastic. So there's some other exercises that I've learned from Institute for Functional Medicine, like taking one raisin and even just talking about this raisin and rolling it in your hands and feeling kind of the skin of the
Mhm.
raisin. Like it makes me salivate. I don't know if it's doing that for you, but any tips that you have for getting people to really kind of activate that brain gut connection, so that cephalic phase of digestion where they sit there and kind of savor maybe a raisin or an almond or a walnut or something to kind of reactivate that gut brain axis?
Yeah, that's a great exercise, is to just take that raisin and start to chew it or your piece of food, and to notice, what does it smell like? First of all, look at the plate. How does it look? Is it pretty? Where are you sitting? What is your environment? How does it taste? How does it smell? How does it feel? And so many of us just don't really pay attention. And when we start to pay attention, what happens is our relationship with how we do food mirrors our relationship with life, right? Because our relationship with food is the oldest relationship we have, and it's similar to those with others. So it's angry, it's happy, it's frustrating, it's nourishing, it's sad, it's pleasure. And when you can actually taste and smell and feel and be present with what's in your mouth, all of a sudden, like other relationships and other areas in life, you're much more mindful. Oh, I didn't notice that tree had some flowers on it. I just been driving by this every day on the way to work. And oh, I'm paying attention to my kids a little bit more. I'm actually really with them. I'm sure how many of us, of parents who've been like with our kids, but kind of like half doing something else, and it's just, it really upgrades the quality of your life when we can just be more mindful. And starting with your food is a great place to start.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. You're at the park with your kids, and I see this quite frequently. Parents are on their cell phones the whole time, and the kids are just kind of running around. And yeah, they're spending time with their kids, but the kids just kind of
Yeah.
there while they're doing their other thing. And it actually in this book, again, not to keep bringing this up, switch, but they talk about parenting as one of the case studies into kind of making changes. And
Yes.
parents that are abusive to their children, they had two arms of this one particular study that they talked about in this book. And one arm of the study, this intervention, we'll call it Group A, was just they were instructed to just spend 5 minutes with 100% attention with their kid and let
Hmm.
their kid direct behavior. So if they
Right.
drop the pencil on the floor, just let it be, and kind of
Hmm.
mimic them. And the other group of the study, Group B, will say, again, these are abusive parents that were, got in trouble for beating their kids and causing broken bones and all these bad things. They were taught anger management. Okay. And they looked at the abuse rates 3 years later, and the group that was really present and focused with their children and learned to just be there 100%,
Yeah.
dropped their rate of abuse by 60% versus 20% in the group that learned anger management. So being present is huge for all aspects of your life, even in the workplace or at home, it doesn't matter.
It's so simple and yet not easy, right? There's simple strategies that are not easy, but just noticing without that judgment, it's not easy, but just notice it and make baby steps. And when you do make baby steps and you are able to be with your kids for those 5 minutes, celebrate it.
Mhm.
Celebrate every baby step.
I agree. Now, along those lines, I don't know if I'm sure you've experienced this too, but getting into that calm kind of yoga-like state before hanging out with your kids really enhances the experience. And so sometimes we're really busy in traffic and we come home and we're stressed and there are our kids and we're parents, right? So I think it's a great exercise. I just put my hand on my heart and like you said, take a minute or two and just really focus on breathing, connecting with that breath. And you can have just a great experience with your children as well and really connect with them and not bring that stress and negative energy from traffic or the workplace home.
I bet you're an amazing father.
We don't need to talk about parenting, but yeah. Anyway, all right. So we talked about circadian rhythms, meal timing. What else? Let's talk about this other mind-body nutrition connection that you were just recently speaking on. Anything else that we left out?
Definitely you start with the what you're eating, because if you adjust those macros, the macronutrients, the proteins, the carbs, the fats, the water, that will help with the cravings, where it's not like a willpower problem. It's just like side effect is, oh, I don't really crave so much sugar anymore because you're getting protein, protein, fats, veggies, fiber earlier in the day, breakfast and lunch. And then those cravings, like it's amazing because the cravings start to change and people say, by the way, oh, I lost 5 pounds, or, oh yeah, I'm not really craving that anymore. Instead of, I was so good, I withheld my willpower, I disciplined, because you can do that for so long, but it's not sustainable. To rely on discipline and willpower is not sustainable. So we really need to change those cravings.
Love it.
So I think, what you're eating definitely has to tweak, and then the when, along with your natural circadian rhythm, and then understanding how you eat, and, little self-love. If you spoke to yourself, the way, if our best friend spoke to us the way sometimes we speak to ourselves, we probably wouldn't be friends with that person anymore. Right. And so we got to cut ourselves some slack. We're all busy. We're all really hard on ourselves. And it's just, notice when you are and cut yourself a little slack.
A recent podcast guest, Bob Rakowski, talked about, we know to eat right and, move right and sleep right and do all this sort of stuff, but we need to think right as well. And so he recommended going on a news fast. And we all get guilty of getting caught up on CNN.com and looking at the latest, terrorism threats or riots in Baltimore, whatever it may be. But he's like, no, I don't even pay attention to that. Like, it's literally, I don't even need to know about it. And since kind of learning that, from him and just hearing it, like, wow, that makes sense, because the person that we spend the most time with is ourselves, right? So if, like you said, if we talk to ourselves in that negative way, I mean, we wouldn't, and we did that to our friends, we wouldn't have any freaking friends, right? So it's really a big deal. So getting rid of the bad negative energy.
Because you start fearing, right? And then when you have fear, many of us live in either the past with regret, right? Or in the future with fear. And we got to be present, because right now, most likely everything is okay right this second. And so it's good to notice, like, if you're somebody that lives in the past or in the future. And, by watching the news, we develop all this fear about what could happen, which is not happening right now, but what could happen. And affects your metabolism, because it elevates the stress response, which elevates insulin, cortisol, fat store.
Yeah. Well, and inducer of cravings. We tend to forget about how cortisol, but when you have cortisol cranking, it's going to preferentially enable your body or cause your brain to want to choose more high calorie, high sugar, high carbohydrate based foods. And, if we think about the evolutionary kind of drive for that, high cortisol would be in the stressful state, from a predator or something like that. So you would want to increase sugary foods to fuel muscle so you could run away or fight. So it makes sense. So great way, like you said, Karen, that the psychology and what, these thoughts and emotions can really affect our metabolism. But let's go back a little bit, while it's on the tip of my tongue, the macronutrients that you mentioned, and protein, fiber, and water. Those are kind of, would you say that, and fat, the big ones that can help from a macronutrient standpoint to increase in our diet to help overcome cravings.
Yeah, it's like the yin and yang, right? It's all about balance. If you're excessive in one of those macronutrients, it could cause some cravings in some of the others. So again, it's paying attention to what proteins work best for you, and each day is like food affects how we think and feel, right? And not only how we look, but also how we think and feel. And so, animal proteins, food has energy. And so animal proteins are a little bit more grounding. So if you're giving a talk or presentation, maybe you want some more grounding foods. And then if you want to have something a little more creative and light, maybe more vegan sources of protein. And then you're going to feel differently on days that you have more animal protein versus days that you're having plant-based protein. So it's kind of fun to do an experiment with your own body around what you eat and how you feel and switching around those macros. And if you're consuming a lot of vegan, vegetarian, plant-based proteins that are more carb heavy, pay attention to your cravings. Do you crave more carbs after that? And grains, are getting a bad rap these days, but they're not necessarily bad for everybody. There's a lot of nutrients in whole grains, but bread is not a whole grain. And so, it's eating, it's enjoying the best quality foods. And really, I think the whole protein and then fiber is going to slow down absorption. And really just noticing, shifting around the proteins, the fats, the carbs, the fiber, and seeing how you feel.
hmm Let's talk about the grains a little bit. And I know you work with a lot of athletes, competitive cyclists, and I think you do a lot of cycling yourself. So talk about the grains. It's very controversial. Do you ferment them? Do you soak them? Do you eat sprouted grains? Break it down
I
for us.
definitely rinse all my grains and I try to soak them for a short while. So fermented grains would be great, but people are busy, they're busy and they don't have time. So I need to give them like quick tips and I need to teach them how to cook once and eat 2 or 3 times. So, with my athletes, I think, some of them do better when they do start their day with some sort of an oatmeal or some whole grain. And then I've got plenty of athletes who do better with like the protein shakes. Like for me, the protein shake, the vegan protein shake, the MCT lean, my rides, I rock. I am rock solid for 3-hour ride. I'm not craving and I don't crash. So I think again, it's bio individual, and then you could look at people's blood types, and if they're the hunter-gatherer blood type, and they don't often do so well with grains. Their ancestry, where did your people come from, and what did they eat? I had a client who was Asian, and she seemingly had this perfect diet, but had all sorts of gut issues. And her assignment was to go back and eat some of those fermented foods that she ate growing up with her family, and it was like remarkable. She felt so much better. That's her ancestry, that's her lineage. And so there is no one size fits all. We got to look at everything. We got to talk about your cravings. We got to talk about your lifestyle. Are you an athlete? Are you sitting at a desk job all day? Do you need to be eating 5 snacks? According to Ayurveda, they recommend going at least 4 hours between meals, put your body in fat metabolism, burn fat for fuel and not sugar. So I educate my clients. I educate them. I educate them with a lot of different theories. I pull from a deep bag of tricks. We try a few things and we revisit. How did that work? Did that work? What didn't work? All right, let's try something else. And help them, with this experimental way of eating, create a food plan that they can maintain, works for them long-term. Without guilt and stress. And still, the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time you can eat you eat really clean foods, nourish your body with great quality. And then the other 20% or 10%, enjoy. Food is pleasure. It's all good.
Beautifully said there, Karen. And I like how there's no one size fits all, and the challenge with, I think, a lot of people that are searching for information on how to optimize performance or lose fat or balance their blood sugar, or whatever it may be, is they find a book and that is their new Bible,
Their Bible.
right? That they live by. And so, and they're not getting the results they want, but they're resistant to changing the latest and greatest information that they recently said, which may be really good for some body, literally for someone's body. But as you mentioned, it's an experiment, it's ongoing. So what sort of, sound bites would you have for people that maybe get stuck on the high protein diet or no grain diet or whatever ketogenic diet? What would you say to them in terms of, okay, you're not getting the results that you're looking for. So how would you cause or influence them to switch from that diet to experiment with something else?
Well, we definitely I have to have them keep a food journal, right? For about the for about a week of what they're eating. Because if they're stuck and they're not losing weight, sometimes it's essential fatty acid deficiency, not getting enough fats. And so that's your fish oil, your wild salmon, your avocados, olive oil. And when they start adding in either a fish oil or some more healthy fats, side effect, oh yeah, I lost those 5 pounds. So it's I can't really say one way. We have to sort of examine the what you're eating, the balance. If they're snacking, sometimes people graze all day long. They don't realize how much they're snacking. So we can maybe shift to more of the 3 meals and not eat late at night. So it's really, I can't say that there's one way, but we have to keep a food journal and see what maybe we need to be tweaked.
Yeah, that's a great approach. And that way you're kind of not guessing, you're kind of more
Yeah.
going about it via an objective manner and
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
looking back.
We need to like write it all down.
Love that. That's a perfect tip. Now, you brought up the fish oil, and I would love to just kind of expound upon a study that I sometimes share on the show. And that's
Okay.
they gave fish oil, I think it was 1.8 grams, to exercising adults, and basically had 3 arms of the study. And then the control group just got, can't remember if it was like alpha linolenic acid, some sort of
Mhm.
plant-based fat that poorly converts to
Yeah.
the EPA DHA. But anyway, they had them do resistance training and cardiovascular training and exercise. And the group that took 1.8 grams of fish oil actually lost less muscle and lost more fat. So a shift that we would like to see, because when people embark on an exercise program, as you know, sometimes they lose muscle mass
Yeah.
inadvertently. So fish oil can really help you to burn fat better and be more efficient fat burner, like you just mentioned, Karen. So any other supplements, since we're kind of on this topic, that you like to talk about? I know you have some good results with MCT oil. You have some protein. Like, talk about some key supplements once we kind of iron out the diet.
I love MCT oil. So MCT oil is fractionated coconut oil. And coconut oil, MCT oil, it's a short chain fat, right? So fats are these long carbon atom bonds that bonded together. And the shorter chain fats, they just metabolize differently in your body. They're not necessarily better. You need those gorgeous long chain polyunsaturated fats that aren't heated, by the way, to become trans fats, but and olive oil and avocados. But the medium chain triglycerides for athletes, for weight loss, and for cognition and brain health, um, a lot of my clients are really doing well, and especially me. I love it, and so I put MCT oil in my smoothie in the morning, in my protein shake, and it allows me to make longer trips between meals. The MCTs they metabolize differently in your body, so they're metabolized more like a carb, so it's an energy source. They don't get stored as fat, like long chain fats in excess would get stored as fat. And so for weight loss, it's great because it burns more like a carb and it won't get stored as fat. Bodybuilders love MCTs because it creates this lean muscle. Again, doesn't get stored as fat, but it rocks the energy for them. And then for brain health, the shorter chain fats can cross the blood-brain barrier, so it energizes the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. And so cognitively, my students are telling me that they take the MCT oil in the morning, they're thinking more clearly in class. Clients tell me when they do my 14-day transformation, Whole Foods cleanse program, they feel like they're thinking more clearly after the shakes. And I think it's the MCT oil. So it's very exciting. I think we're going to see a lot more research out there around MCTs and coconut oil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, anything else? You protein, I know in your office you have a lot of probiotics. Like, if you could pick like maybe 4 things that people might consider. We've talked about the fats, the omega-3s and MCTs.
Yeah.
Anything else that you found?
I think, and, using supplements, I like to recommend supplements as a supplement to a diet. Ideally, if we can get all of our vitamins and minerals from our food, that would be great. But I do recommend, check your vitamin Ds. Vitamin D levels, most of us are low. So then supplementing with vitamin D, supplementing with fish oil. I take 1,000 milligrams of a combined EPA DHA every day, and a multivitamin or B complex will generally be beneficial for pretty much everybody.
Mm.
So I'd say that's the main package. I do take additional supplements myself.
Yeah. Love it. Cool. Awesome, Karen. So anything about the mind-body connection or mindless eating or mindful eating that you would like to share that we didn't get to touch on?
Well, I think, again, noticing what you eat and how you feel. And so if you're feeling particularly great today, hopefully you all are, you notice what went well? What worked? How did I sleep last night? We didn't really get to talk about the sleep hormones, ghrelin and leptin, and cravings for carb cravings, which again is going to make you feel like you have no discipline, but it's really that you're not getting enough quantity of sleep or poor quality sleep that's going to cause the carb cravings. But, looking like what's working for me, what did I do, that's helping me get where I want to go. So I think, creating that vision, where do I want to go? Where am I right now? And paying attention to, when there are successes, what's working, and do more of what works, and don't beat yourself up about what doesn't. Just learn from it.
Mhm. I love that, Karen. And I think it's a more positive way to go about things and to induce change is to focus on what works instead of focus on what doesn't work. Because what you focus on expands. So if you
Yeah.
focus on what's really working, you're going to create more of that. And the converse is also true. If you focus on what's not working, you can, induce yourself into a downward negative spiral, which is not good. So fantastic tip there. Now, you're a mother of four. I think they
Or son.
all but one have still live at home, and you also run a busy business. I mean, you do a lot of online coaching. You have the MCT lean business. You have a lot of things going on. So we want to know, Karen, what makes you successful? What's your morning routine? We know the morning is kind of our time to reinvest in our body and our mental state and so forth. So talk to us about your ideal morning.
So my ideal morning is to have some antioxidant-rich green tea, which is thermogenic and fat burning, big mug of hot water. And I make my MCT lean protein shake with water base, 2 scoops of protein. I put in, this morning I had, oh my God, the most gorgeous spinach from my garden. I have an organic garden. So I had beautiful spinach and some beets in my smoothie. And I had some fresh berries, which is low glycemic, low sugar. I put some flaxseed in there, some ground flaxseed for some omega-3s, and chia seeds and hemp seeds, and some MCT oil. And then I went and did an hour and a half of Pilates.
Love it.
And so I'll do that twice a week. And then I'll try to get some cycling in 3 days a week. And if I can't ride, I'll either ride indoors or I'll ride outdoors, and I try to take some walks. And, that's pretty much my morning. And then I head off to a busy day at work.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. That's a great morning. So tell us more about your garden. How big is it? How much time, like the time investment of making it run and produce good vegetables? Share with us a little
I
insight.
love my garden. My garden was a birthday gift to me from 7 of my really dear friends. And it's a gift of health. And I've got greens, I've got lettuces, I've got kale, different types of kale. I've got jalapenos, I have tomatoes. I make my own salsa. I had a beautiful green salad last night and for dinner, and it's all made from my garden, which for me, it's like vitamin L. It's made with love, and it's from my garden, and it's clean, and there's no pesticides. So I love my garden, and I love my food, and we have, really, really healthy dinners every night. I think it's really important for families to eat together. And even if it's just like the 2 of us at home, and it's really, for me, it's all about the food. And when my kids were at home, before they would go off to school, we would all talk, okay, what time is dinner? We'd think this one's in soccer, this one's in this one has a job. When can we all get together as a family to connect? Because it really, we're back to parenting again, but studies show that the kids, when you're eating together, they're much healthier. They make better food choices, healthier food choices, and they're a lot less apt to, abuse drugs and alcohol, because there's this like safety net at home, and this is like their safe place. So I really encourage my clients to make some family time, to eat together over a meal, with pleasure, no confrontational conversations, because that's just going to cause a stress response. And all of a sudden your gut starts to knot up if we're, scolding one of our children. Not that we ever do that. So I really encourage like the family to be together and eat clean and as much organic as possible.
Can also leave the cell phones out of the picture and turn the TV off. I know it gets tempting if I'm
Yeah,
guilty
no
of this.
TV.
we're busy, business professionals and stuff like that, and Instagram and Facebook, all this stuff is going, but put that aside and really just focus on your family. I think
Yep,
it's
we
a
put
really
our
good
phones
tip.
away and we turn the TV off, and it's just our family time. I light a candle, I put some soft music, and I have four sons, and my boys tease me because when we go out to dinner, I ask for a round table for six. I call it Malkin six, and
Love
it's
it.
fun. Like they tease me, but they get it, and it's like Malkin six, mom, round table, So it's good. They get it. They feel the love.
hmm That's such great information there, Karen. And I don't know about you, but some of my favorite childhood memories, we can think about are around the dinner table. So it's really great for parents listening to kind of reinforce and make this a routine. Just as Karen said, it's like connect with the family, figure out a time, establish, time that works for everyone, and stick to it, commit to it, and make it a ritual. That's a fantastic piece of advice. And one of the last questions that we ask everyone guests on the show, Karen, is if there was one piece of advice that you could give to legislators and maybe President Obama or a future president down the road about how to improve the health of Americans, what would you say to them and why?
I would say to stop the junk food marketing to our children.
Fantastic.
Please stop.
Yeah. Awesome. Short and sweet. I love it, Karen. So you have a couple different websites. You do a lot of online coaching. You have a great business called MCT Lean. Kind of share with our audience those URLs and where people can connect with you online.
Okay, so my website is KarenMalkin.com. It's KarenMalkin.com. And I have a programs page where you can learn how I work, which is one-on-one with my VIP transformation, which includes my 14-day transformation plus private sessions with me. I also do some student programs and a lot of college students and help them how to, coach them eating on and off the campus. And I do some group programs. I do some corporate programs as well as the 14-day transformation. And that is really the best bang for your buck. It's a 14-day program with 21 days of support. People create new habits. They develop a healthy relationship with food and they feel amazing. And that is also on my website, but you can also sign up at 14daytransformation.com. And it's 14DAYTRAN transformation.com, 14daytransformation.com. And you can start any Monday of your choice. And I FedEx this wellness bag to you with MCT Lean, vegan, vanilla protein, chocolate protein, an MCT Lean oil. And also I've created my own superfood bars, and you get a full box of 12 transformation bars, which would be like one of your snacks, or you can use it as a dessert. So you get this amazing wellness bag, and it's a real VIP program. And then we have a conversation at the end of your 14 days, and we talk about your aha moments, what you learned about yourself as an eater, and let's talk about a food plan that you can maintain long term.
Love it. That's fantastic. If you could share with us some of those aha moments, maybe from recent, I know you recently did this with a lot of folks. That'd be great.
So the last week, some of my wrap-up sessions with a few people, clients, one woman, she lost 7 pounds in 2 weeks. She stopped taking her anti-inflammatory med. She says, I do not wake up. She let go of all of her aches and pains. She realized that she made herself a priority. She said, I never really sat down to eat lunch. So, and some people say I also recommend hot Epsom salt baths at night or steams or saunas, but sweating, your detoxification channels are your skin, your liver, your kidneys. So it's water, it's sweating, it's dark leafy greens. And so sometimes it's the bath. Some people say those ahas were that protein shake, Karen, rocks my day. I'm not hungry until like at least 12 or 1 o'clock. So everybody has different ahas, but they probably didn't realize how little fruits and vegetables they ate. And they also realized how easy it is to actually go out to eat and eat some protein and some veggies, and they don't have to calorie count. And the fact that they can let go of the scale and then lose weight and eat more is great. And so they're happy, they love it because they're eating more and they're weighing less and they're not craving sugar. They've given up sugar, and they've realized that by giving up alcohol for 2 weeks, sometimes it's a test to see, do I have a sticky relationship with alcohol here? And they do it and they feel good. Because when you're sitting down for a drink and you're kind of craving that glass of wine, it's not really the wine that you're craving to sip. It's usually that emotion that I'm craving just to I just want to relax. I want to hold something in my hand. So I give them some mocktail suggestions and how they can still hold a mocktail and still have the social aspect, but not be drinking the alcohol.
Mm,
People are sleeping better. And I think those are pretty much some of the ahas. It's just really making themselves a priority and understanding how easy it is. And what's happening is their kids are watching them and their spouse is watching them and people in the office are watching them. And pretty soon they're going, I want what you're having because you're feeling really good. And the women are saying, oh, my hormones are in check. Well, I think it's the blood sugar that's in check, right?
right.
So, my mood is better. My partner says I'm more. The guys are saying like I feel more zen, and I think it's because the fat is your calm, stable, burning fuel, and they're adding in more fat. I love these wrap up sessions with my clients. I learn something new every time I have a meeting with them about what they learned about themselves, and it's just honestly, it lights me up. It just makes me smile. I am so passionate about this work.
We
This
can
is my
tell.
life. This is my life's work. I'm here on earth to do this work.
Yeah, and you do a great job with it, Karen. Thanks so much for coming on the show. And just wanted to highlight the mocktail aspect. Something that we've been doing at my house is a
Mm.
lavender chamomile tea steeped in different French press from the one that we make coffee in. So that's a great way. So you're holding a cup. It's a mug. You can put it in a wine glass. We haven't done that, but that could be an option. But great way to really calm down at night and get out of that habit. What I found for myself is that glass or two or sometimes three of wine a night that I would crave was just a habit that I needed to break. And when I would go on work trips, I didn't crave, there was, because I'm out of my routine. I would go to Whole Foods, eat a, whole food salad with some lean protein, then go to the hotel and do a little computer work and go to bed. Right. And so there was no wine involved. So I think it's really important for people just to kind of look, like you said, at your habits and what you're doing and some of the positive and the negative ones and try and dump the negative ones or replace them with, like you said, mocktails. And another thing is Zymogen's Relax Max is it's like this pink drink. It kind of looks like a mixed cocktail. If you put it in a wine glass, and my wife and I will frequently do that. So
Oh, okay. I'm gonna try that.
give that a shot. It's a great way to, increase your parasympathetic response and calm down and maybe do some mindfulness yoga or meditation before bed. But to get out of that habit, that sticky habit, as you said, with wine and alcohol. So
Yeah.
a few tips. So Karen, thanks again for coming on the show again. Hope you have a fantastic weekend.
Thanks, Mike. You too.